Here's my spring project that I am most excited about. These great little racks to hold my compost tumblers. It's going to make turning the compost a breeze. We've had these tumblers now for 3 or 4 years, and I really like them a lot. You just have to roll them around the yard once or twice a week to keep the compost nicely aerated. But rolling it around was kind of hard on my back. And then once I was trying to get the finished compost out of the barrel, well, that was a whole nother thing. Required at least 2 of us to do it. But as you can see, with these racks, both turning the barrels and emptying them are now going to be a piece of cake. This was the first compost tumbler I made. I took an adult education class. It cost me $75. I got a $40 rebate. So for $35, they provided all the materials and the instruction to make this great little tumbler that I made about 4 years ago. So I'll start by showing you how we make the compost tumblers. They're really pretty easy to make. First, you start with these 55-gallon plastic barrels. You can get these from local bottling company or large bakeries. Make sure that they had food stored in them. You don't want a tumbler that had chemicals stored in it because the plastic will absorb those chemicals and impart them into your compost, and you don't want that. Now, when I got my barrels, they were already clean, but you may need to clean yours out. So we start with the door. This door measures about 14 inches across and about 13 inches high. And what you do is you drill 4 holes in each corner, and then you use a jigsaw to cut between those holes, and you've cut your door. Then once you have your door cut out, you add your 2 hinges and then these 2 slide locks on either side. Then inside, we want to put in baffles or something to kind of stir and aerate the compost really well. Because one of the most important parts about composting is making sure you have plenty of oxygen. If your compost doesn't get enough oxygen, it will begin to rot and stink and you'll just have a big slimy mess. So you want to stir it and aerate it really frequently. So these are 6-inch long screws secured with little nuts, and you just drill the holes, 4 holes in a line on the back there, and then put your screws in. Okay, so now here's how I made these racks. As you can see, they're just kind of like a lopsided X, and then there's a rebar that goes through the middle of the drum that the drum spins around, and then that rebar rests on the top part of that X. Okay, so we start off by measuring the barrel, and this one is about 35 inches long. It's about 1 inch longer than the blue barrels, and then it's about 23 inches in diameter. And so all my measurements for the rack have to accommodate the barrel measurements. So the width is about 44 inches long. It has to be wide enough for the barrel plus a little bit of give, plus the fact that the 2x4s will add their own width to it as well. So 44 inches wide, and then about 48 inches long is the leg. And then I formed the V about 6 inches from the top. Then the 2x4s are secured with nice 3.5-inch long lag bolts. Now I wanted this to sit nice and steady on the ground, so I asked my brilliant teenage son to figure out, using trigonometry, and he figured out for me that the legs would have to be at about a 20-degree angle to sit flush against the ground. So now I have this crossbar to help make it a little bit more sturdy. It's about 26 inches long. Now when I made the crossbars, I wanted to make sure that my wheelbarrow could go underneath them, because I wanted to be able to open the door and then just dump the compost into the wheelbarrow. Now my wheelbarrow sits about 23 inches high, so the crossbar had to be 24 inches from the ground. But because these are triangles that we're working with, the crossbar actually is attached 26 inches from the bottom of the leg. So finally I made a sort of axle for the tumblers to spin on. And I cut 1/2-inch rebar about 48 inches long so that it would extend out past the X's. And then I drilled a 3/4 inch hole in each end, and I put PVC pipe through that. The PVC pipe is about 38 inches long, an extra inch or two on each side, and this sort of acts sort of like a bearing or a sleeve, so that when I turn the barrel, it's not rubbing around the rebar. And I think that that'll make it last a little longer. I thought if I just had the rebar rubbing against it over time, it might wear the hole down, or there would be cracking or breaking. Finally, I drilled 1/4 inch holes into the PVC pipe and put these screws into it a little bit. They're 6 inch long lag screws, just to help with the aeration and help tumbling everything and breaking it up better. And there you have it. This is how I made my compost tumblers and these racks, and all of it together make it really easy to make and use compost.